Alright, so what do we got here? This is my hi-hat stand, my remote hi-hat stand, which, is a slightly different configuration, operated by a cable instead of being a complete stand like this. Now, I use this as my main hi-hat stand. Some drummers with like really large kits will, use this for a second pair of hi-hats, on their opposite side of the kit, while the main hi-hats are on the left side, typically. But I like to use the remote as a primary because it allows me to place the hi-hats and the pedal in different places. And the reason for that, first and foremost, is using a double bass kit. If you try to use a traditional hi-hat stand with legs, and work that into your double bass setup, you get something like this.
God damn it!
And there are some pieces of hardware you can buy to either remove the legs or fold up the legs on your hi-hat stand and then clamp it to your second bass drum for stability, and it looks something like this. But the issue with that has always been, if you put the pedal next to your left bass drum pedal, which is where you want it, that puts the hi-hats in a place that you might not necessarily like, which I don't. It puts the hi-hats too far forward and to the left, and I don't like that. I like them closer to me, and I like them kind of, a little bit closer to my snare drums. So when I had some money for some hardware, I bought a DW 5000 regular, two-legged hi-hat stand, and I just hated it because I couldn't get it where I wanted. Like, the hats were in a weird place, and the pedal was like where I did like it. And it's just, I don't know. I was a new drummer. I was a young drummer, and I hadn't yet been set in my ways. But I just knew it didn't feel right, So I took that back, and I got this DW 5502 remote hi-hat stand. Now, I've had this about as long as I've been playing drums, probably 22 years. So, here's the upper part of the hi-hat stand. This mounts to what I have is the DW MG2. It mounts to a cymbal stand, right? So unlike the actual dedicated hi-hat stand, this mounts to a stand you already have, right? And then there's the pedal. Now, it works kind of like this, you connect this linkage here, and then you can put your pedal wherever you want, put your hats wherever you want. Now, as you'll notice here, this is not a DW pedal, this is an Axis pedal, and what I did was, back in the day I used to use DW 5000 pedals, so I've always trusted DW hardware. Like, all of my hardware is DW, and it's the most expensive, but it's also the best. And anyway, when I switched to Axis pedals, I immediately tried to figure out a way I could make my hi-hat pedal an Axis pedal, because Axis doesn't make a remote hi-hat stand, So I basically took it apart. I did some cutting, some drilling. I bought an Axis footboard and the base plate, and and I built this in my garage, And anyway, yeah. So that's pretty much the basics of it here. But the reason why I'm making this video is because after 22 years, I finally decided to move on. Got myself a new remote hi-hat stand. Now, over the years, I've seen many other remote designs from other companies, as well as DW's newest version of this. And really, I never saw a reason to change, unless it was much smaller and a lot easier to mount. I just never had any interest in replacing this until now. Look at this. Look at the fuck this. This is the ACD Darwin remote hi-hat stand. Custom built in Austria. The state of the art. Like I said, I spent a long time using my D-Dub and not really seeing any reason to change. But this, I mean, look at this. Look how fucking small this is. And look at this pedal. Fuck. This. What if I want to change this to the Axis pedal, right? So it matches my bass drum pedals? Well, I'm not going to do that. You know why? Because it is with a heavy heart that I have decided to leave Axis after 20 years. But that's, you know, that's a story for another time. Look at the size difference here. This is where the hi-hat sits on both of these. So, like right here. Look at how small that is compared to this. And also the cable. I love this cable and how flexible it is compared to the D-Dub, which is super rigid because it has this very thick plastic shield. And that was one of my biggest anxieties setting up my kit, is trying to get this thing, along with this mount here, you know, to get the cable routed correctly to my pedal, which is very close to this, right? So it's, you know, you kind of can imagine with this kind of rigidity here, you gotta make sure it loops correctly and it's, you know, and it's relaxed, or else it'll pull your pedal to the side. And it was just under pressure setting this up super quick, you know, like at a show or something. It was always a source of anxiety for me. You can see here how I have it disconnected just to be able to like move it around like this, you know. And because the cable is very easily detachable from the pedal, I can easily break it down that way and make it even more compact to store away. But because this cable is so flexible, I won't even have to do that. I could set this up and break it down completely intact. So one of the coolest things about this new shit is the mounting system. And as far as the old D-Dub, I mean, there's really only one way to do it. I've got this MG1 clamp here and the MG2, and then you would have to mount it like this.
What is this? The Middle Ages? This is barbaric. Barbaric!
See, even now it's about to piss me the fuck. See, and then you, you know, tighten this, and then you get it lined up the way you want it. And this cable is fighting you the whole time because it's rigid against the ground, and it, you know, it worked. But so the Darwin remote has this pretty ingenious mount here, and it's intended to mount on a cymbal boom arm with the well, I'll show you. So it's meant to be mounted like this onto a cymbal stand, which yeah, it's cool, but we don't want to have to deal with another boom arm. So we're going to use the same connection point as we did for the old one, but we're going to use a new clamp here. And the main reason why is because this can be folded and locked when you break down the stand, so you don't have to you know, remove and replace another boom arm. We've already got 8 boom arms for our kit. You know, we don't need any more. So what I've done here is taken a cymbal stacker, pulled off the cymbal seat, put on a memory lock to serve as the base, and then it's gonna lock right in here with this wing nut like this, and that should slide right into that clamp. All right, now we've got this cut down, we've done the measurements, so this should just, look at that, look at that shit, that quick. Fuck yeah. Very rarely does shit work out exactly the way you think it will, and it totally did. All right, now it's all set up, attached to our cymbal stand here. And the cool thing about using a remote attached to a cymbal stand is then you can just also use that cymbal stand. In this case, I'm using my 11-inch Oriental Trash Splash, but you can't really do that with a regular hi-hat stand. It's possible, but it's just not very practical. Anyway, fuck yeah. So I'm not really going to try to play this because I noticed this microphone picks up way too much background noise, but it's fucking badass.